Welcome to Simply Sarah. I'm Sarah Stockham, your guest, and I am so pleased that you are here, that you are carving out time for you, for self care, to expand your mind, to be in a place where you are ready to receive energetic gifts. And today is going to be an incredible conversation. Kyle Jordan is with us, and Kyle has worked with Elle Ingalls. If you've been listening along the show, you know that Elle is somebody that we have interviewed, but also somebody who's had a huge impact on helping people to live a pressure-free life. And Kyle, I'm just so delighted that you are here in studio with us today to share with our audience. Thank you, friend.
Thank you for welcoming me. I appreciate the opportunity.
So, Kyle, tell us a little bit about your journey to the point where you met Elle and knew that you wanted to be certified in the pressure-free method. What's some of your backstory, your journey?
Sure. So my background, I've been a nurse since 2018. And prior to that, I worked in the behavioral health field.
Mhm.
As a nurse, we deal with quite a bit. We're working with patients who aren't feeling their best, family members, and sometimes it's a high stress environment. Sometimes we're dealing with stressors such as being short staffed. Um, Sometimes you don't have the best support from management. And I found myself looking for something to help me just deal with the stressors of being at work.
Yes.
I was listening to a podcast, a nursing podcast, and I heard Elle Ingalls talking about the pressure free style of managing stress. And I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. So I learned how to relax my abs, and I took that to work with me the next day, and I found some success. I felt better
Mm.
handling stress at work. And I even gave a patient um, that same information, and I let them listen to the podcast, and they found it to be a very amazing presentation about stress. So that was my how I got my start.
That's so beautiful. What led you into behavioral health before you became an RN?
Sure. Well, this is going back a ways, but at one time I was interested in being a teacher,
Mm.
and I worked as a substitute teacher during the school year just to get my experience. But we know that there's no opportunity for a substitute teacher during the summertime. So I'm
Right.
like, man, I have to find a job. I have to find work.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's where I got my start working in behavioral health. I would pick
Mm.
up hours and pick up shifts at a like a residential facility.
Mhm.
And when I went back the following school year, I took a job working in the emotional support aspect of working in the school as opposed to working as a substitute teacher.
Mhm.
So that's where I got my start.
And what did you find that was helpful when you were working in the behavioral health, the place to help modify behavior? Your demeanor to me is one of watching and seeing and then knowing how to step in to help.
Hmm.
I would love to hear some of the things that you found to be helpful as you were working with children, people in the school system who were experiencing stressors and then uh, sharing their stress in a way that put them into a place that required extra care.
Sure. I'm thinking of this one particular child that I worked with.
Mm.
I think he was a high schooler, so he might have been a freshman. I think he was 14 or 15, if I remember correctly. Um, And the interesting thing about him is, so I was his. There's a term called one-to-one or wraparound. It means the same thing, and it's basically that I'm there with them throughout the school day, and I provide verbal redirections if their behavior becomes inappropriate, either with staff or with the teacher or with students, or maybe even if they're unappropriate behaviors towards themselves. I give a verbal intervention. So I found with this particular kid, like I never had an issue. Like if I told him, like, listen, I think we should take a pause and, just he would always listen to me. He never gave me an issue. So I said, this is interesting. Because he would go off on his teachers. But then I realized, well, wait a minute. It's not that he's responding to the way that they are like talking to him.
Mhm.
Like, let's say, so I'll give you an example. We're in class. He takes a marker from the student next to them, so they can't, now the student next to him can't do the activity,
Right.
right? So say I'm gonna use the name, the letter P.
Sure.
His name. So the teacher, P, give him the marker back. Put the marker down and give him the marker back. And then he's like, yeah, now he's
Right.
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 Me, I'm like, hey, P, come here, P. Just sit down, relax. P, just give him the marker back. He's like, he gives him the marker back, and he's just sitting there. So I realized for him it was an attention thing.
Mhm.
It's an attention thing, and I realized when I spoke to him calmly and just told him what I wanted him to do,
Mhm.
90% of the time he would listen to me. You know,
Yes.
so I found that in some cases, in this aligns with pressure free. Using a calm but direct tone was
Mhm.
helpful to redirecting him.
Yes.
Yeah.
As a classroom teacher prior to having my own television show, I fully understand that space of
Hmm.
how we speak as people in authority, I say in quotation marks,
Hmm.
and asking things to be done or telling things to be done. And the last number of years that I taught, I had choir. And so as a choral teacher, I got to move from school to school. And this beautiful experience was for fourth and fifth grade students. And we included all of the fourth and fifth grade students. So if there were students who were in an SDC class, a severe disabled class, if they were having, they had physical disabilities, whatever it happened to be, whatever the pieces were that got them to that school, they were in the right age group to come and
Hmm.
join us in class, they came. And I loved that it was a place for us to integrate. There were beautiful experiences of incredible integration that happened. And we'd watch it go out also then onto playground, not just from the class, because oftentimes the kids are in a different class by themselves, separated in some ways, so that all
Hmm.
of their educational needs and social needs can be met in that space. And specialists are coming in and out to make sure that that's happening. And the students are what we called in California mainstreamed when that was
Okay.
appropriate for them to be mainstreamed. But the places that I got so excited about having all of the kids in there together were the places that where we had one-on-ones who would come in who had that demeanor that you're talking about, just a quiet, hey, a redirect. Is it time to go get your headphones? Are we too loud for you today?
Hmm.
Do you want to go get your weighted vest on?
Hmm.
Are you hot enough? Are you, warm enough? Are you too hot? Are you cold? Just checking in, knowing that this particular beautiful human being had different needs than the majority of the other students in the room. And having just that quiet space of redirection made all of the difference in the world for us to be able to do all the things. So I
Hmm.
just want to say thank you to you, Kyle, for being in that space for a period of time, particularly in high school,
Yeah,
and being noticing that space of what can be done that can make a big difference for how people react.
for sure.
So you come into nursing and you hear Elle Ingalls on a podcast, and she talks about things very, very specifically about what's happening in our bodies as
Mm.
we're experiencing stress. What are some of the things that are happening when we have stressors that are very specific to us? I believe that every time that we experience stress, that it's a very individualized experience. Others can be hearing or smelling or feeling similar things, but they're going to have their own interaction with that.
Hmm.
What are some of the things that happen inside of our body as we are receiving the information that may feel like danger or warning?
Sure. One of the things that happens, we tend to tense up. We're on high alert, so we're looking around. Our heart rate increases, our
Yes.
blood pressure increases, our vessels are constricting, and your digestive system reduces. So your body, in essence, is shunting its resources to the areas that are going to help you survive, the areas that are going to help you fight, or the areas that are going to help you to run, basically, fight or flight.
Yes.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so, what are some of the things that we can do when we begin to notice that we are tensing up? And I really appreciate, for me, this is a journey, Kyle, to begin to notice that just as muscles begin to tense,
Hmm.
to be noticing what it is that I'm hearing or smelling or feeling, just trying to take in that inventory in that space
Yeah.
as the muscles begin to tense. What are some things that we can do to mitigate and not go into the fight or flight?
We can take a deep breath and relax our abs. I was in the elevator. And an interesting thing is once you've learned and have begun to practice tools, there's always new scenarios that cause you to have to look at what's triggering you again.
Yes.
So I'm on a newer in a newer unit
Mhm.
where I work, and this particular unit, this building has these tight elevators, and you know, I made a mistake and didn't leave out early enough to get to work early, so I got there just on time. But it's a bigger hospital, so everybody is coming in at the same time,
Oh,
and we're
sure.
all waiting on the same elevator, and we all get into the same elevator. so, so we're packed in the elevator like sardines, and I have my coffee, right, which I need in the morning before
Yes.
anyone talks to me. I want coffee. So I'm at the back of the elevator, and a lady backs up, and she almost backs into my coffee. So I'm kind of like, I'm tense. I feel myself tensing up, and I feel
Yes.
myself getting irritated. And for me, that normally results in me making a face of kind of like disgusted a little bit. Like, come
Yeah.
on, like you're not paying attention. Don't you see me standing here with this cup of coffee?
Right.
People in this tight elevator, and I should have just taken the steps. I work on the eighth floor, mind you. You know what? I should have walked 8 flights of steps instead of that elevator. So this is what's going on in my mind. I'm like, man,
Right.
relax. Why are you stressing? It's not like you're on your way to work. Everything's fine. Just take a deep breath, relax. And because I felt myself getting there mentally, and it happens quickly.
It does.
Yeah, it happens like this. Next thing you know, you're kind of like, "Well, why do I have an attitude all of a sudden?" You just kind of go to this place.
Yeah.
It's like, you want to know what? Let me just breathe into the abdomen, in, out, and just sort of let your body relax.
Mm,
I felt myself start to come down.
yeah. For
Yeah.
me, it's that space, Kyle, of knowing that I can speak to my mind. I
Hmm.
can speak to that. And even if I happen to trip and not stop it before all of the chemicals begin to flow through the body, I
Hmm.
know that I can choose to do things so that I don't trip a second time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And just knowing that I don't have to stay in what I call the crazy dance is such an empowering piece.
Mm-hmm.
It's one that allows me to have more grace for myself
More
in
grace.
places and times where I do experience the, oop, I tripped up. I
Hmm.
can feel the rush of all of the chemicals
Hmm.
because it does. It moves it so that we can fight in that place or we can run away from that.
Yeah.
And so there's things happening in our body that when we become aware of them, we're like, oh yeah,
Yeah. That's it.
that's it
And
exactly.
and do I function better? Well, I function better this morning if I have an attitude and I'm irritated,
Yeah,
or will I function better if I'm more relaxed?
yeah.
You know?
Hmm.
Okay, so then in that case, let me take a deep breath and relax.
Right, right. Because this situation that I'm in is not the only situation that I'm going to be
Yeah.
in the next hour and the next 5 hours or longer. And
Yeah.
so, what is it? How do I need to show up for
Hmm.
myself in order to be able to take care of myself?
Yeah.
And I think that when we really take it from this is about me and for me, I'm not
Hmm.
trying to earn brownie points from other people. I'm not trying to win a contest with anybody else.
Hmm.
I'm not trying to make other people like me more.
Hmm.
This is literally about me and for me. And how can I navigate in such a way that is helpful to
Hmm.
myself for my brain to continue to work on other things because our brain is always trying to problem solve. And
Sure.
so if I move to to the place that I'm irritated, it's
Yes.
trying to problem solve how I can punish that person or whatever, right? It's still doing its thing. It's still trying to solve problems. And
Yeah.
those aren't the problems that I want it working on. I want it working on, higher, bigger pieces that go along
Right.
with.
Not petty problems.
Yeah, so, so true. Kyle, we're going to take a quick break here. We'll be right back after we say thank you to our sponsors.
Hmm.
Hi, I'm Michelle. I am the founder and owner of Lamano Art. I began this business over 20 years ago. I specialize in paintings of all kinds. I make murals, portraits, and live paintings. My specialty is color and also telling a story. Some of the work that Lamano Art does are calligraphy pieces, wedding invitations, sign work, and sculptures like fairy doors. I'm open to working with anyone on any idea. Please feel free to contact me at your convenience, and I look so forward to talking to you. Thank you.
Kyle, I am really appreciating this conversation with you and hearing how you got to meet Elle and how you began to work with her. What are some of the things that you have noticed that have been really important pieces that perhaps you weren't expecting to have them shift or change, but you've noticed as you have been using these tools to help stop the stress hormones from flying through the body and doing all the havoc that they do? What are some of the things that you have noticed?
Um, hmm. Oh, so many things. What comes to my mind is attracting opportunities, and attracting people. Um, so, hmm. As we consider that, if we're not triggering the stress response, right? But if we're calmer, then we tend to be more creative, and we tend to be less doubtful, and we tend to be more confident. And these things give way to our success. I remember, mm, I had an opportunity to go to a networking event. And so I drove there. I drove from my apartment to downtown Center City. This was at a steakhouse in Center City, Philadelphia. So I pulled up around the corner. I paid the parking meter, and now I'm sitting in the driver's seat again. I'm like, I got all the way down there, and I said, but do I feel like going in?
Mm,
Like, do I want to? Like I came all the way here, but should I just go back home? I don't know if I should go in now. Like,
mm,
who's gonna be in there?
right.
Who's gonna be in there?
Yes.
And how's it gonna be talking to them? And me, I don't drink alcohol, so it's like they're gonna be alcoholic drinks there because it's kind of like a happy hour networking event.
Sure, sure.
But like, all right, I don't really drink alcohol. If people are having enjoying themselves having a sip, but it's like it's gonna be kind of awkward. Is it gonna be awkward? So I'm just going through all this in my mind. So I'm
Mm,
sitting there. It's about 10 minutes. So now I texted L. I said, "Hey L, there's a networking event, and I drove all the way here, rush hour traffic, made it, but now I'm thinking about going back home. Don't know if I should go in." And I
mm,
said, "You know what? But I think I should go in. I'm gonna take a deep breath and I'm gonna go in." And she gave me some encouraging words.
mm,
And so I went in. I took a deep breath. I relaxed myself, and I went in, and it was awesome. The first, so it was set up. The bar was over to the right.
mhm,
So you go past the bar, and there were a bunch of small tables, maybe like 7 tables, and there were groups of people around each table, maybe like 4 to 5 people, and just having conversation about different topics, whatever. And I remember the first person I met was uh, was a lady from Angola, and we got into a whole conversation about like speaking Portuguese in Angola and culture, which is right up my alley. So I got totally comfortable. So then one of the facilitators came around and said, "Oh yeah, you should come to one of the tables and chat." So I came over to the tables and I chatted. I met a nice lady, actually a couple. The guy was from New York and his girlfriend was from China,
Uh-huh.
and they got a chance to tell me about how they met. And it just wound up to be like a really interesting and cool experience.
Mm.
Um, this program is called I think it's called international relations or internet. It's a group where expats and Americans kind of meet up and network
Oh,
to one.
okay.
Yeah, and this was my first time going to one of their events. But I ended up having a chance to meet people, kept in touch with a few people, and it just turned out to be a really cool event.
Mm.
So just learning how to relax and not overthink.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath, stop thinking so much, and just let things flow.
Mm.
That has been very key from a networking perspective. Not to
Yes.
overthink.
Yes.
Yeah,
To be present and to be there. And you were totally helping me heal times that I've thought, because I think back that I have gone to places,
yeah,
gotten to the door, put my hand on the door and said,
yeah,
I just can't today.
yeah. I don't know if I want to do
Way,
it.
right?
Yeah,
And hear you share that you got to that place as well and then said, reached out to Elle, who is available and supportive and encouraging,
yeah,
and that she says some things, but by that point you probably had already figured that you were going to take a deep breath and go in, uh,
hmm,
and to go and do that. And the opportunities that opened up as a result of you being present with yourself, honoring how you were feeling,
hmm,
not trying to say, oh, I don't want to feel that way, therefore I'm going to distract myself,
yeah,
and thinking through all the different things of the different scenarios that may be happening or may happen when you're inside, trying to decide how you're going to navigate that or how you're going to feel comfortable or not with that,
hmm,
and still choosing to go in and having the opportunity to meet people and have conversations.
yeah.
Really appreciate that. Thank you for sharing that story.
Indeed, indeed. And the last thing I would say is, for me, just for any listeners who may be wondering, I've been actively working on networking um, recently. I'd say within the last year or so, just like actually focusing on it as an art form and as a skill.
Mm.
So it's sort of like a newer area for me.
Mhm.
Like it's one thing to say, okay, let's go out with some friends and family and just sort of hang
Yeah.
out. But like if we're looking at networking in and of itself, like okay, you may not have the support of a friend. It may be like, okay, I'm going here to meet people where we may have something in common, either professional wise or grad school or something like that. So it's been a newer experience for me.
Mm.
But I found pressure free to be helpful as I pursue that aspect of my life at this point.
I so appreciate, Kyle, that you're talking about as an adult with multiple degrees, multiple interests, multiple experiences,
Hmm,
that you're saying that you still are putting goals out there for yourself that will stretch you
hmm,
and that will help you to learn more about this amazing planet that we're on.
yeah,
And I that just really kindles something so positive and sweet in my heart,
mm,
that you are choosing that. And I will say that even though I find it fun and easy to have these conversations here, that truly being in a space where I don't know a lot of people,
yeah,
um, it can just be something that causes me to want to watch what's going on
yeah,
before I choose to get in. And just a quick story, my mom wanted to go to a friend of hers was turning 100. And this is somebody that I know, and he's doing great. My parents are United Methodist missionaries in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and was born and raised there. And
really,
I am the youngest, and out of my family. And then these people had lived where we had. They were also had been missionaries, but they had were much older. They had older children, much older children. So I come into this space. I'm with my mom. We see the gentleman who's turning 100. We go over to say hi. And in this process, other people, other relatives come around. I have no idea who they are, Kyle. No idea at all.
Hmm.
So I, in very African and American
Yeah.
way, I put my hand out to shake, right? Because this is in Africa, I was taught to do that. In America, it's also appropriate. So I put my hand out to shake, and they're
Hmm.
like, "Oh, we know who you are," and they come in for these great big hugs, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, I need to pull my hand back because obviously we're not going to be shaking hands. We're going to be hugging." And I found myself again that space of I need to relax. I just need to reset myself because
Right.
the party is on and it's happening,
Mhm.
and whether I know their names, whether or not there's this belief or this that because we share something in common, that therefore I am family as well. I'm part of the tribe, and so I
Mhm.
wasn't expecting that, and that awkward space of, "Oop, need to pull my hand back. Yep, we can hug." But having the pressure-free tools to again say, "Okay, that was not what I was expecting.
Yeah.
This is the energy of the room. Where am I inside of this? Oh, take a deep breath,
Mhm.
relax the abs. You're fine."
Mhm. You're fine. Yeah, you're fine.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's awesome.
So also then, I know that you are somebody who not only is willing to come on my show and share with people, but you're also somebody that other people are also seeking to come and have you talk and share and potentially teach them
Mhm.
also about pressure free. What are some of the pieces as our listeners are listening in and people who are thinking about getting into that circuit of being asked to be on shows or being asked to come and share wisdom that you have? What are some of the things that you have found to be really helpful as you prepare yourself, as you prepare coming into these places to be able to share?
Sure. Um, I try to, you know, and a wonderful suggestion that Elle gave me is to try to start keep a storybook or like a journal book
Mhm.
where you talk about some of the trials and experiences that you've had and how you've overcome them and like in particular with using certain tools um, from pressure free and just kind of being able to display this in a way where people can see, okay, this is how something can actually be applied that can be very helpful.
Yes.
So I'd say for me, that's been a game changer as far as finding the I guess the courage to talk about my story.
Mm.
It's not always comfortable, so that's something that's been another like a fairly recent development is maybe digging into some parts of some of my failures or some things maybe that didn't work out so well and saying okay this is it's okay because we're working on solutions, we're working on being positive,
Yes.
we're working on being more creative,
Mhm.
and it might be that what I've went through someone has either experienced it or have experienced something similar to it, and
Right.
they may find encouragement. So
Yes.
I would answer just by saying that having the courage to look into my own history and my own stories and feeling
Mhm.
to share them with people, you know?
There is a vulnerability in there because
Yeah,
you don't necessarily know who the audience is, right?
right.
And as we share these stories of courage, these stories of hope, these stories of I'm still in the process and figuring it out, but I'm further along than
Hmm.
where I was 12 months ago.
Hmm.
There still is a space of I'm giving this as a
Hmm.
gift. Will it be received as a gift, right?
Hmm.
And so there are times on the show when I'm interviewing people that stories will come up inside of me. They're like, oh, this is a perfect fit. And I find myself weighing out, is this the right time to share those stories or not? And also talking with Elle, the more that I'm able to share those stories and differentiate myself by sharing the stories, the more real I become, but
Hmm.
also the more relatable I also become.
Relatable, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Hmm.
And so finding that space. I was talking this week with a group of, it's a small group that we met in taking a class, and they encouraged us to find other people taking this class to be able to encourage each other through. So it's an accountability group. It's also an encouragement group.
Mm.
And we were meeting this week, and we usually meet every 3 to 4. Every now and then we move to 5 weeks, but from this meeting we always book the next meeting. And so as we were doing this, and I came into the meeting, and I didn't have a lot to share
Yeah.
about the course I've created with Elle's Blessing called From Stress to Best. There are
Ooh.
some things I've gotten done, but not a lot of things
Yeah.
over the last few weeks. But I was able to share about this trip to South Carolina and how
Ah.
it had impacted some things. It was a weekend, and how I felt as an entrepreneur about giving this weekend away in some ways, and yet the gifts that I got inside of that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just sharing it from a place of being vulnerable, and a place of, the cool things that happened were that, Hurricane Helene had come through and just absolutely washed the entire I-40 off the side of the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And we had planned to not go that way, but I had Navigator Nellie on through this radio, through the sound system in the car. I
Mm-hmm.
turned the music down so that my mom and I could have a better conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And she knows the exits by their numbers, and she's like, "Oh, we've missed our exit," because I turned Navigator Nellie down. I hadn't heard that, take this exit kind of a thing. And so we ended up being on the I-40. Now, this is something that I had wanted to do. I wanted to see how far they had come in the process.
Mm-hmm.
I was just so delighted that, the traffic is one lane each direction, but there were 18 wheelers, there were people in trucks, there were people in lots of different kinds of cars.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was kind and nice and knew that we weren't going to be going more than 45 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we got down to 25, but we never stopped. We kept going.
Mm-hmm.
And so we chose to come back that way as well. And then, someplace between Canton and Asheville, there was somebody years ago who planted dogwood trees that they're from this part of the country, and seem to come in white and occasionally in pink. And the person had been so intentional about planting groups of them about every third of a mile to half a mile on different sides of the highway. And they would stick one pink in the group. Never were there ever two pinks. And so
Okay.
between this delightful experience with my mom, here I was like, I'm giving up this weekend to drive and to do this thing. And the gifts that I received
Mm.
by saying, yes, I was willing, were these truly amazing gifts.
Wow.
So, looking for those spaces. So I'm sharing this story, and
Mm.
someone else in the group, her father has moved in, and they are waiting for them to find a place for him to move into that would be assisted living. And there's a graduate student who's also moved home. There's just a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just sharing just life, right? This is kind of,
Sure. Yeah.
and for her to say, it was just so encouraging to hear you talk about what's taking place in your life, and about you taking that weekend and going with your mom and doing this whole thing so that she could have this experience. Just me sharing that story. And I wasn't sharing it for her. I
Mm-hmm.
was just sharing it as, this is what I've gotten done, kind of a thing of checking in with life.
Yeah.
And so I do think that the places that we are able to, as time permits, share the things that are relevant, it really does, for those who are listening,
Mm-hmm.
for those who are seeking, it's such an encouraging piece.
Mm-hmm.
For us to not discount the possibility of that we
Mm-hmm.
are planting seeds of hope.
Wow. So true. So true. Well, I have a question for you.
Yes, Kyle.
Your time in the Congo.
Yes.
So okay, your experience now being pressure free, right?
Mhm.
And then your experience having, interacted and knowing people in the Congo.
Yes.
Uh, would you say people in the Congo are closer to pressure free than people in the U.S.?
Mm. So the Democratic Republic of Congo has a large city called Kinshasa.
Kinshasa.
And Kinshasa will become the largest city in the entire continent of Africa by the year 2050, if not by the year 2030. So
Mm-hmm.
I will say that my experience living in the city
Mm-hmm.
was definitely not a pressure-free experience.
Okay.
I would hear, machine guns at times. don't know if they were target practicing or not. Where we lived, there was a military base not too far away. And
Ah,
every
wow.
now and then there would be tanks that would be on the street, and you
Mhm.
never knew if this was an uprising or if this was because communication wasn't that great, right? We had
Mhm.
shortwave radio, and shortwave radio happened every single morning at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Mhm.
People would do the relays of what's going on and share, and there would always be key people that would always be on so that you could kind of share in, hey, we're doing well, things are fine. So in the big city, there was the opportunity to go to the post office, and at the post office, you could wait for hours to be able to use the telephone in order to be able to call the states and that kind of thing. There
Mhm.
are people who now have sat phones. Obviously, we have email, and so as long as those pieces are working well, then that works incredibly well. I will say that for my young childhood, when we were living in the village,
Mhm.
we had a cinder block house, but we were not far at all. It
Mhm.
was our house, the house where the district superintendent lived. Ours was a cinder block house. His family's was a red brick house. There
Mhm.
was a water tower. There was a church. There was a little bit of space, and then the village began. So we were, I don't know, what is that, 2 kilometers, about a mile or so, maybe, away from the village, not even that far. And people used bicycles. There were occasionally trucks. There were Land Rovers. And it was important for my mom that we would wear flip flops, even though I would take them off to go barefoot like my friends were, because it just felt so good to be barefoot, right? Until it got hot. And then it was like, oh, where are the flip flops? But that space of the village life, of being able to come together, to go out into the fields to plant the rice together, such a communal event, to be caring for the rice, to be harvesting the rice, to bring it in, to pound it together, and to have multiple mortars, large mortars with the
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, for pounding, the sticks for pounding,
Mhm.
and have, multiple, and for us to be singing songs and two people working inside of one large mortar together so that
Mhm.
we could go even faster with it. And then the next
Yeah.
station was to take what that was, to pour it into the large winnowing basket, and for the next person to take and shake the winnowing basket for all the husks to be able to come off, so that
Mhm.
then you have this beautiful pure white um, rice that you then put into the sack, the area that's going to be held onto or cared for. This space of community, this space of sweating together,
Yeah.
of singing songs together,
Yeah.
of going down to the stream. The stream had an area that was for men only. I never went there. There was a stream for women only. That's where the kids would get to come, the girls. And so
Mhm.
we would go down to the streams in the afternoon, and we would play in the water.
Mhm.
We would take our hands and cup them and make drums, like drum, and again, singing songs together,
Mhm.
just having this space of fun. Also, inside of that river, that stream, was a white substance that we call pembe, that you take out of the river, let it dry, and it becomes like chalk. And so, being able to take, just have all these different experiences of. So, I think in some ways, the village life was more pressure free, and there was that woven part of community into it.
Mhm.
But just like when I would go visit my grandparents on the farm in Nebraska,
Mm.
they also lived in a place that was very much very rural.
Rural. Okay.
There were definitely stressors that would happen because of the weather. You could hear the siren as, concerns about there being tornadoes.
Mm.
Make
Mhm.
sure that everybody would get into the safe place, down in the cellar together. So
Mhm.
definitely there were things that were built into the fabric of both of those experiences that were very much, for me as a child, wonderful.
Mhm.
I'm just so grateful for the experiences of being able to look up at a sky at night and being able to see all the stars, right? That's difficult to see in the
Ooh,
city.
yeah. Okay.
Even when you go out to a place like the farm in Nebraska, that don't have a lot of city light around you that you can
Yeah.
see how
Like.
beautiful that is. There's
Yeah.
something for me that just settles the nervous system
Mm.
in those
Mm.
places. So I don't know if I answered your question well,
You
by
did.
free.
You did.
But those are some things that, as you ask me about the pressure free, such a good question. Those are some of
Hmm.
the things that come up for me.
You touched on both. You touched on triggers, and you touched on how it's more soothing in a sense.
Yes.
Yeah. So you gave me a comprehensive answer. I was just curious.
Yes. So
Yeah.
for you, growing up, I know that you live in the city now. Did you always live in the city, Kyle?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm from the city of Philadelphia. Hmm.
And
Yeah.
are there pockets or places or experiences that you can, as you look back at your life, are places that seemed more pressure free than other places in the city?
Um, you could find those experiences, I feel like, with people.
Mm,
So visiting my grandmother's house, my grandmother would babysit us in the summer times, right? Because my
yes.
parents went to work, so my brother and I would go to my grandmother's house.
Mm,
And I had some cousins that lived literally a couple of houses down, so
mhm.
then they would come over. And I mean, it was just a safe space. She
Yes.
would cook pancakes in the morning, and we called them pancakes. Pancakes.
Yes. Yes.
So we would have our pancakes. We would watch cartoons,
Yes.
and we would create games together. They say
Yes.
for children, it's important to learn how to play and to be creative. So we had this game called City Hall. I don't know how we came up with it, but like my grandmother had a bunch of old paper, so we would just like write a bunch of scribble scrabble on the paper, and then you know how like the old school steps with the wooden stairs, and you had the banisters. each
Yes.
each banister was supposed to be like a mail slot. so, so,
I
so
love
we were
it.
all somebody important, like I guess we were all like mayors or politicians. So
Yes.
a bunch of scribble scrabble, put it in the banister, but then you had to go back and go to your mailbox and read it, and then like I don't know what we had going on, but it was called City Hall.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, these are the things I think about. Like she my cousins and I were pretty I was hyperactive growing up. Like I'm kind of mellow now, but when I was a kid I had a lot of energy, right?
Mm,
So I had a cousin who was my older cousin, a year older than me, was kind of mellow. So if I
mm.
was with him, I was mellow. There's a
Yes.
cousin that's younger than me that's hyper. So if I was with him, I was hyper. So I could go either way. Either way.
Yes.
So if I was with the mellow, I couldn't go anywhere with my hyperactive younger cousin, right?
Right.
But
Right.
if I was with my older cousin, we could go to the farmers market, which was around the corner, and she would send us to just
Yeah.
pick up that, come back home.
Yes.
If I was with him, it was okay. If I
Yeah.
was with my younger cousin, we couldn't do anything together.
Yeah. You stayed at City Hall.
Yeah, yeah.
So, did any of you guys go into politics then?
Actually, no.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. For me, that remains to be seen. They say I'm the wild card of the family, so
Yeah.
we'll see.
Well, I would vote for you. You have such a true heart and
Thank you.
you see people, and I appreciate that so much.
Thank you.
Mm.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, being called the wild card in the family, how does um, pressure free fit into that? I'll give you a minute to think about that because I was a towhead blonde,
Hmm.
and my family all has black hair, and I also had a cleft lip. And so, as we would go to different villages, people would always want to, touch my hair because they'd never seen anybody with such white hair, such blonde hair.
Cool.
And I looked so different.
Uh-huh.
And so, when I think about some of those experiences,
Hmm.
I think how I was different than my siblings. My siblings all went into medicine knowing that they were just going to go that direction. And it wasn't that I wasn't necessarily capable of doing that.
Yeah.
One, blood and I still choose to look away when they
Mhm.
draw my blood. And when I was a teacher in the classroom, I had a student who had a really bloody nose, and I had to hold on to things to go get help for him because I could tell I was going to hit the floor at some point. And I share that just as I'm aware And if I'm taking care of myself really, really well, the blood doesn't bother me. But if I haven't gotten enough sleep, if I haven't eaten well, if I'm not hydrated, I can get a pretty, yeah, exactly, exactly, having here kind
So
of thing. Right, right. So scary movies and I don't get along necessarily well either. But I've thought of myself at different times as the black sheep of the family of choosing a different way.
yeah,
And so, how does pressure free, as you look at your life and the choices that you are making,
yeah.
how does that help support you in what you're doing?
Um, I think, well, just finding and locating and keeping that internal calmness,
Mm,
um, even if I start to feel agita or anxiety on the inside, finding that internal calm so I
mm,
can bring it back, and in that calmness to be able to explore. So I guess that's the main thing, is like I'm a person who likes to explore.
yeah.
Um, I haven't traveled outside of the country in a couple of years, but my last time out the country, I went to Morocco, and and I was overseas. I was in Morocco for 10 days, and it was good. Like I tend to I make friends, and that's usually how I get an invitation. And like so you spent some time in the Congo. I would imagine countries in the sense of family, I would think African countries are very similar, where it's like it's about family. So
Mhm.
once you meet someone's family overseas, you kind of get in good with them, and
Right.
then you're welcome to come back.
Yes.
People want to feed you, and
Yes.
they don't mind having you as a guest. And it's
Right.
kind of like a cultural thing of like taking care of a guest. Like
Right.
taking care of a guest is a beautiful, like a blessing, right?
Yeah. It's not an imposition at all.
No, it's not. Yeah, they welcome you, right?
Yes.
So in my mind, I know this, but now my mother, on the other hand, is like, "Wait, you want to go where?
Where?
You're going to stay with who?"
Right.
I remember before my last trip, she said, "You know what? I'll just have to say a prayer for you. We'll have to ask the Lord to be with you. You
Yeah.
know, something happens to you over there. What I can't. There's nothing I can do. So we'll have the Lord go along with you."
Yes.
So
Yes.
little things like that. But yeah, just the internal calmness to feel
Mm,
free to experiment, and to be overseas. So now I'm in Morocco, um, and I had a great host. My friend, her nephew, took great care of me. Uh, we were in the capital city of Rabat. But it's just, oh, so I mean, this could also be a story about pressure free, actually, because
yes.
because we earlier we were talking about connecting, right?
Mhm.
So
Yes.
I'll start from the beginning. So my flight was from JFK to Casablanca, right?
Yes.
So from Philly, I took the shuttle up from Philly to JFK, and signed in, and now I'm waiting where the flight is to depart from. So I'm there, but to backtrack for a moment, while I'm in line, the lady standing behind me. We get into a conversation, and I come to find out that she's actually traveling to Morocco. She's an English teacher.
Wow.
So we're talking back and forth, and I tell her, I've never been to Morocco. I have been to West Africa before. I've been to Mauritania, I've been to Senegal, never Morocco. So, we're having a conversation. She's telling me she's a teacher of English. I'm like, okay, I get signed in. We actually are walking together, trying to figure out what we're going to get to eat, and we separate. We go different ways, right?
Right.
So I get my food. Now I'm at the gate to check in, and I get into a conversation with this guy from Jersey, Newark, New Jersey. So we're talking, and he's asking me, "Oh, okay, so you're going to Morocco? Are you Moroccan?" I said, "No, no, I'm African American. I'm from Philly,
Right.
and this will be my first time in Morocco." He was like, "Okay, cool." So he's like, "Yeah, I'm born in Morocco. I'm born in Casablanca, but I'm raised in Jersey. So back and forth." So then
Yes.
we get into a conversation. I told him, "Yeah, well, I've never been to Morocco. I've been to Mauritania, which is, if you know Africa, it's right under Morocco is
Yeah.
Mauritania." So we're just kind of like, just talking culture and everything like that. So we get on the flight, we land in Casablanca, and I tell him, well, I'm going to Rabat. So the plan was for me to catch the train from Casablanca to Rabat.
Yes.
You know what? I'll take you to Rabat. Don't worry about it. I'm going to pick up a rental car. So he picks up a rental car, right? I go with him. We get the rental. He picks up a friend of his. And just a little side note, I didn't realize that hip hop music was so popular in Morocco.
Really?
Because the way these guys looked more American than I did. He had on usually if I travel outside the country, I tend to dress more casually. You know,
Yes.
like
Yes.
something I was taught like it's better to just dress casually if you're traveling abroad.
Right.
But he had on a t-shirt and jeans, and his friend had on a Wu-Tang Clan t-shirt and shorts and sneaks. I'm like, man, okay. Like I look more Moroccan than these guys.
Yes.
So, but we sit together at a coffee shop. We have coffee. So again, we're just talking now about culture, rap music, the culture in Jersey, hip hop music, the culture of Morocco. They're teaching me some words in Darija, which is the local Arabic dialect. But again, I'm being open minded, right? Because this is where I guess pressure free. You're relaxed. You're
Yes.
open minded. You're more creative. Therefore, you're more receptive. Therefore, you're engaging more, and it's not awkward because you're relaxed, right? And when
That's
you're relaxed, other people feel more relaxed, and
true.
makes for a better overall interaction. So he's kind enough to take me to Rabat, you know, and I meet with my ride. We keep it. Me and him keep in touch to this day. You know,
Beautiful.
yeah, we keep in touch to this day. And it was my friend's nephew who ended up being the one to kind of like my tour guide in Rabat. So,
Wow.
and we got along well too. So I'm meeting people who are from a different culture, you know, and we're from different places, but we're getting along perfectly fine. So
Yes.
it's, they're welcoming me. I'm accepting the hospitality. I'm showing gratitude. So it's all the things that we talk about in Pressure Free. All these sort of dynamics are playing out at once, and it makes for a wonderful experience. And I'll close it out by saying this: come to find out, the guy that was hosting me is actually an introvert. And because sometimes introverts they will keep telling you that they're introverts. Because
Right.
I'm telling them like, man, you're doing such a great job, man. I think you can make some money doing this. He's like, oh, I don't really, So I'm like, okay, I get it. But just,
Yeah.
again, pressure free. We're
Right.
relaxed, we're calm,
Yes.
we're vibing the situation out. We're making people feel comfortable. So
Mm.
even someone that may not be as much of a people person, we might touch them in a way where we get the best out of them. So there's just so many ways you can look at this thing, you know? Yeah.
Kyle, that is so, so, so good.
Hmm.
I have loved this conversation. Are there some things that you'd like to reiterate so our listeners just really walk away with that solidified for them?
Hmm. Sure. Uh, Being pressure free, keeping ourselves relaxed,
Mhm.
trying not to overthink,
Mm,
but it's human nature to overthink, and
mm,
it's human nature to focus on negativity at times.
mm.
It's human nature to create a like a monologue in your mind of what's going to go wrong. And once you start we go down these different pathways, of the worst case scenario. And but it's okay to take some deep breaths and just let the mind shut off for a second,
Yes.
and just embrace being in the moment.
Mm. Well, I have embraced being in this moment with you. I'm so grateful for your time, your expertise, your stories, your wisdom. Thank you so much, Kyle.
This time has gone by too fast.
It has. It has. We may have to have another conversation sometime.
I would love to do that.
Beautiful.
Hmm.
And to our audience, we just say to you, thank you so much for being here, for listening, for taking in these stories, for considering how your life could be. Perhaps in the past, you have felt like you just showed up tense, but know that you can be open to the possibility of a different future. And until next time, I just encourage you to take good care of you.